everybody, welcome to Crofty Reviews. This time I'm looking at the Boss Super Chorus CH-1, which according to the BossUS.com website is a clean classic chorus sound with crystal clear highs and a unique stereo effect. I'm running this in mono because I'm too lazy to set up two amplifiers and get them matched to the right volume so you can hear the stereo effect. It's very cool when you can be bothered to do it, but if you haven't got two amplifiers, you're not running a stereo setup, it's really not that important. Today I am using my Orange Micro Terror. This is a beautiful little amplifier. I heavily recommend anyone that lives with other people, anyone at all that lives with other people should get one. I think I paid $135 from Crazy Train Music. Give them a ring on a Wednesday, they may be able to fix you up with a good price. They certainly did for me, and can't say thank you enough. So running through the Orange Micro Terror, the volume, tone and gain controls are set at 12 o'clock, 12 o'clock and 9 o'clock respectively. A little bit of gain, not enough to really drive the amplifier too much, but enough to give it just a little bit of crunch. Guitar wise, I'm going into the 2004 Fender Light Ash Stratocaster. I've modified this so that you can run the bridge and neck coils together. There's a push-pull control in place of the volume. Love this guitar. Weighs a lot, but I love it. Okay, so looking a little bit closer at the controls, you've got effects level, which is very self-explanatory. It controls the level of the effect. Following that is the EQ. This works in a very similar manner to almost all of the tone controls that I found on Boss FX pedals, in that the further to the left, the bassier, further to the right, the more bass cut there is. The rate controls the speed of the effect, so nice and slow you get sort of gentle shimmer, and much further to the right you get a really warbly, almost Leslie sounding effect. Depth at the end controls how deep the chorus is, which combined with rate and depth you get that stereo effect that bounces backwards and forwards. Anyway, just to give you a sound, the dry signal, I'm using the Light Ash Strat like I said. I'm using the neck and bridge coils together to give it quite a nice fat sound. Okay, so with all the controls set at 12 o'clock, right across the board, I'm going to play you a very simple chord progression just to give you an idea of how it sounds. It's going to be your standard issue G, C, D, nothing too fancy, nothing too crazy, but it's enough to give you an idea of how this chorus would sound without any tweaking, no playing around. So as you can hear, it's not an overwhelming effect. You get a little bit of a shimmer to it, more sort of like a doubling effect almost, which was the initial intention of the chorus. So if you take that EQ control and you roll it right back to the left, to the low end of things, what you get is kind of this sort of woolly sounding kind of chorus, which in my mind I'd like to use it as something maybe to undercut a main acoustic track, be using an electric to give it sort of a, I don't know, it feels kind of warm, but like a nice blanket, you know, like a nice blanket, being wrapped up all cozy in one of those. So again, same little chord progression, nothing special, but enough to give you an idea. Whereas if you take it all the way to the high end of things, it cuts back the warm feeling a little bit and you get slightly more glassy tone to things. If you take everything back to 12 o'clock and you dial the effects level, the sound you get is significantly different to just playing with the EQ control on its own. It pulls out a slightly more organ type effect, I'd say. I mean, if you were to use this alongside an octaver, like the Electro-Harmonix POG, you'd get that sort of multi-overtone harmonic kind of thing going on, and you could probably wiggle your way through, I don't know, maybe some sort of reggae type organ, or with a real push, you could probably get away with faking a Hammond. I mean, you can crank the rate and the depth and really get that warbly Leslie effect. So those two pedals together, you probably get some nice sounds. Taking that all back to 12 o'clock, however, and cranking the rate control, you get more of a flutter to the sound, almost like it's a little bit analog. So I'm going to pull the depth control up now, and we're going to see how far that can take us. This is a lot more subtle sounding than cranking all the other controls, because what you end up with is everything else at 12 o'clock, the depth quite high. It's deep, but it's not as obvious as you'd expect. So moving everything back to 12 o'clock, I'm going to go to a setting that I've used a couple of times, that I've used quite a lot in one of the very first bands I was in as we covered this song, and you can see why it's got that classic sound to it. It's a lot more tweakable than most classic sounding choruses, but it's definitely up there with them. So basically, I'll play you the main riff from the song I'm talking about, change a couple of settings on the guitar to get what I like to think is the right sound out of it, and we'll go from there. So obviously Nirvana's Come As You Are. So with everything at 12 o'clock, I'm going to try and pull out a little bit more of an Andy Summers type of chorus sound. I'm actually going to add in a reverb pedal at this point to give it a little bit more space and a little bit more echo. So if you bear with me one moment. Okay, reverb all set up. I'm using the Marshall Reflector, which for the money is a very good reverb pedal. You can get some wonderful 80s sounding reverbs from it. By that I mean the sort of rack mounted, slightly cheesy sounding effects. I really like using that on a little bit of a heavy gain lead with a bit of delay. You can get that wonderful sort of arena rock, big hair metal sounding guitar. So as I said, a little bit Andy Summers sounding with the reverb, just choppy chords to show you how it'll sound. Here we go. So yeah, sort of an 80s sound from that there. I'm going to finish the video by playing with the pedal in the way that I would most likely use it to add to the clean tones. Thank you for watching. This is Crofty Reviews with the Boss Super Chorus CH-1.